How are you, man?
I'm good, thank
Cheers.
you. How are you?
I'm great.
Oh,
Thanks for making the trip down.
It's all good. We've been talking about this for months, haven't we?
We have. I'm just doing that little panic thing that I do at the start of a podcast and making sure that everything's running. I fucking hate it. And I was like, because I got lost in our off-camera conversation. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't checked to see. Yep, that's all good. Back.
Cool.
Yeah, we have. And I really appreciate you coming down, man.
Yeah,
It's
good.
we sort of bonded over a mutual agent. I think that was how you first reached out to me. You listened to a podcast and you were like, "Oh, were you with you?"
Nah, you did that to me.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
So refresh me.
So I think we were talking about something, and then you were like,
But how did we connect in the first place?
"Oh, I can't remember, man." Would have to
It
go.
was because of the podcast, wasn't it? Didn't
Probably,
you say,
yeah. Wouldn't surprise
just,
me.
You don't know me, but blah 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 blah.
Great work, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
one of those people who always likes to give compliments because I know how important they are. Like, I know I like getting compliments, especially if you're working so hard on something. And I was like, obviously people would be saying it to you anyway, but I was like, just in case, I'll just be another number for you. And
No, it does help, and it's not as common like amongst your peers and that it is, but
or
you're
family or whatnot. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
well,
great job.
Maybe not the family, but yeah. I mean, I've always been massively appreciative, and the shares, and you know that because that's how these things build. You know yourself, right? Like, it's that little word of mouth, and it's not common amongst. Unfortunately, I feel I think people in general, but our industry, to be able to reach out to a stranger and say something nice or want to connect with that person and it not be a bit like they're like, oh, what the fuck's going on here? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I've been guilty of that too. There's this actress in London who sort of periodically touches base but with no agenda.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, how are you?
What do you want?
I'm good. What have you been up to? We don't know each other. Like, get to what it is that we're talking about, you know.
It's sad. It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about that, like,
Yeah, I don't want to be a prick to her at the same time, but I'm like,
no, but that's what our thoughts are sometimes. Like, what do you want? Like, where sometimes people genuinely. There's a good book I just started reading. I'm 10 pages in. It's called Give and Take. It's about like there's givers, there's takers. Now I'm going to have a complete fucking mind blank. But yeah, there's people who just take.
Yeah.
Or there's people who give but want something back.
Yeah.
And then there's people who give but don't give a shit if they get anything back. It's like, here, take this. Like my mum's prime example. Like she's given her whole life, and now I won't say what she's getting, but she's getting a lot back. Just from it's almost like karma to a degree if you believe in karma and laws of attraction and stuff like that. But yeah, it is. It's sad, isn't it? Like you talk to someone, and you're like, what do you want? Like. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't. I think that this person is genuine, but there's this also just this kind of efficiency that I believe in of social media networking. You know what I mean? So it's like it's great to just say hi and whatever because I've done it a million times, but also at the same time, I just want to say that I really love this thing that you're doing, or I just want to say, you know, I'm new to acting, and do you do this and. Or I'm looking for advice because I've reached out to strangers a million times, but to just meander for sort of 10 minutes with like we're mates chit chat, and not that I'm like this motherfucker. It's like just bizarre, you know. But so we connected over the fact that we were both with Ignite for a period of time, and I do really want to talk to you about that because it's something that's come up a little bit, and you being. I don't want to say an avid listener, but you listen.
Die hard fan.
Yeah.
I wear the shirt.
Yeah. You know, we've spoken about that and know that I really do believe 100% that everyone needs to be held accountable, and that especially now we're stepping into, which is what this podcast is all about, is we're stepping into a zone where agents, if they don't evolve, will be left behind by the actors because the actors can do what they do, but they can't do what we do in most cases. You know, like my last agent, both of them were actors, so they could go and do what we do or did do what we do. But for the most part, if we don't find a way to really work together and evolve with the rapidly changing industry, then there's this big disconnect. I mean, a friend of mine, I won't say who, is recently left a big agency for that very reason, to go to a smaller boutique one to have that kind of evolution and nurturing and working through.
Yeah, you can get lost
not
in
the
the
old
shuffle.
model. Yeah, and
you
he's like quite established, so it's changing, and you gotta get on with it. But with Ignite, what happened? Just because you know what I'm asking you about, so give us the tale.
No, that's all good. I won't throw him under the bus or anything, or talk too much
Yeah,
shit.
let me set the stage. We're not here to slam
Be
Ignite.
super negative.
All right?
Yeah, I don't really
if
like
by
the
some
negative.
miracle, Michelle, you're listening, doubt that you are, but thanks for everything. Didn't work out. We have a difference of opinion. But you were asked to go, and after what? How long had you been there?
With Ignite, I was only with them for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
So
But how did you get into Ignite?
I signed up with Storm in 2017, October 25 to be exact, through a Skype call with Yasmin, and she was great. Like I really liked Yasmin from the get-go. I had plenty of auditions, so I can't complain from that standpoint. And then I was hustling. She said, book a couple of professional jobs, and then we'll put you onto the Ignite books. Mm-hmm. And I was like, cool, I've got my goal. I've got it on my vision board, Ignite. Let's start booking work. And I booked a C-Bus one, maybe three months in.
Just bring that mic in a little closer to you, man.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
Three months in, now I'm redlining.
Oh, good.
I booked a role, booked the C-Bus commercial 3 months in. That was in January. And then I booked another one, Chemist Warehouse. Then I booked another one, Safe Script. Then I booked another one, Toyota Hilux. Then I booked another one, barbecue sauce. Mm-hmm. Then I booked another one. This sounds like an ego trip. But like six.
But you were going well.
Yeah, going well. 6 or 7 commercials and a few bit parts. So you kind of that. 10 years ago, there's like a formula that you'd be like, okay, commercials for a couple of years, a couple of bit parts where you're talking a bit on camera, interacting with big actors, and then maybe you'll get a supporting and so on, whereas it doesn't really happen like that. Like Marnie said to us, you could be in a commercial, in a featured role, barely getting seen, and then next week you could be leading Netflix. Like that's kind of how it is now these days.
It's all about the look.
Yeah. And then coming up on end of 2019, I kind of started to get a little bit frustrated because I was like, is this ever going to happen? So I emailed her just saying blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about just taking a break from acting. And then they were like, okay, well, if you want to be with Ignite, we'll put you up there. And I was like, cool. Signed up, and I don't really think I got too many auditions in the time I was there. And all this time as well, they said to...
Yeah, because this is what's interesting.
Yeah, so in the build up to all this, like they said, become a stuntman as well, because I love action. Like that's my bread and butter. I started in professional wrestling. I'm never going to win an Oscar for a drama role. I've just scrapped that. Like I'm a popcorn kind of guy. That's my kind of goals and aspirations. Like the Tom Cruise films, they're my goal.
Yeah. It's a great goal.
Yeah. That's a dream. So I trained to become a stuntman out of This Is with Richard Anastasios.
But that was on their advisement, right?
Oh, no, I mentioned it to him. I was like, look.
So in my mind, sorry, I had always thought, and I would have just either read between the lines or whatever, that they said, you've got to go and do this.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Apologies.
Yeah, but they did say that that'd be great. It'll help you out with action roles and blah, 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 which I'm sure it will in the future. But yeah, so I trained to be a stuntman for about a year. I spent a heap of money, thousands and thousands of dollars to get it all graded. I'm sure we'll talk about the process later in the episode. But yeah, so I did all that. And then 2 days before I got dropped, I had an audition for Marvel for Shang-Chi, I may as well say. I won't say the role. But it was probably the second or the third lead, or
in
supporting Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings.
Which is what?
It's supposed to come out next year. So it's a massive one. I think it's, that's a big one. I don't know. I believe the guy, I don't know this as a fact, I'm just reading the tabloids, but the guy who might have got the role that I was going for was the bad guy in Creed 2, the son of Drago. I haven't seen the movie, but yeah.
He's such a fucking
Yeah,
beast.
I was like,
He's ridiculous.
Yeah, this thick, chunky dude like me, I'm not going to get,
No, but your height and size, it like puts you in a niche, which is great.
Yeah. And 3 months or 6 months of training.
You'd be there.
Paid by them. Yeah, you'd be there. So
They're
I'm
the
not...
Marvel machine.
Yeah.
Right? Look at old mate...
Kamali? Yeah.
Bro. But just up to the gills in hormone replacement and steroids.
That's hard though, man. These are all my idols. So even professional wrestlers, I don't believe they're on steroids.
Really?
I do,
Of course
obviously.
you do,
but yeah, it's just my childhood, man. Like I dreamt of becoming an actor. when I saw The Rock in The Rundown. Have you seen that movie, or Welcome to the Jungle? It was called.
It is hands down still his best film.
Yeah, that's I saw that, and then I saw the action, and I'm a big geek. I watch the behind the scenes. So growing up, I bought Hellboy on DVD from America. I got it shipped over, a 2-disc special edition.
How old are you, just quickly? Sorry to age you.
28.
28, right. Yeah, wow. I'm 11 years older than you, so yeah. Okay, so that's like you're placing that film as when you were a kid. And
I was I think 11 or 12 at the time.
Yeah, not 70s, mid-20s.
But yeah, so I'm always the guy who's always watching the behind the scenes or reading the scripts.
I love it. And the B-rolls?
Oh, yeah. I geek out over that. Just how they make things, especially all the stunts as well. Just any action I love. Even drama as well, behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with all this.
No, so Ignite didn't tell you to go and do it. You suggested it, then you went and did it. Where?
Yeah, I focused 100% on that. So I went and trained at this year's in Hallam with Richard Anastasios. Great guy. He helped me along the way. He was actually 3rd or 4th lead in Upgrade. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's in that.
What a great film.
Yeah, and he got referred to that role through Chris Anderson, the stunt coordinator. He read the script and he's like, actually, I think one of my guys might be good for this role. And then I thought, fuck yeah, you beauty. That could be another foot in the door. Like what you said to me the other day, I'm trying to get just a foot in the door one way or another. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I did that.
So where's that? Here, the course.
It's not a course. That's what everyone assumes. It's like a 6-week course or an 8-week course.
No, I know it's not. No, it's like a full on. It's the thing, but is it here? You trained here?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I didn't go anywhere for that. You can get it all done. It's I originally thought as well it was a 2-week course on Queensland.
Yeah, my mate did that years ago.
Yeah, and I thought, fuck, 2 weeks and I'm a stunt man.
Done.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, you need 6 months of this, you need all these other certificates. Yeah, so it's full on. But back to Ignite. So I trained for a year. I got graded and all that. And I started booking roles as a stuntman. And then she's basically like, okay, we don't want a clash of this, blah, 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 which is fair enough. She's like, we actually didn't expect you to be successful.
That's nice of them.
Yeah, and I'm like,
what a
fucking hell.
thing to say.
I said, you should know me by now. Like in my head, I didn't say it in the email. It's always nice, but I'm like, anything I do, I try and get. Like I go as hard as I can. I'm driven. I'm never going to be the most talented, but I'm going to put in more work than anyone. That's how I've always looked at it. So I had that. I had the Marvel audition. The next day I got a $5,000 rollover. I don't know if I should say figures actually, but yeah, $5,000 rollover for a TV commercial. And I think something else. I can't remember what else it was. And then I think it was that day or the day after, they were like, oh yeah, we don't want you on our books anymore, basically. We're happy to put you back on Storm if you want to be there and shit like that.
Did they say why?
I just think that they didn't think I was going to be successful as a stuntman, and we want people who are dedicated actors, which I do understand. But I always said to them, acting's number one priority. I'm like, if you can't get me a role in this one, I'm going to go get stunts because I need money. I want to go. I want to get paid. I want to get experience because stunts isn't a backup plan. But I've given myself to 30. If I don't get an acting role that's decent by 30, I'm probably going to start focusing on stunts a fair chunk of time.
Clock's ticking, baby.
Yeah, I know. So I got that. And then I want to be directing by 40. So I want to spend 15 years before I start getting behind the camera to learn everything I can. I'm probably blocking my face here.
That's right.
Learning everything that I can, in front of the camera and all that. Because all my idols, like the Bradley Coopers and all that, they're the ones who start as an actor. Or Heath Ledger as well. Like he was always one of my idols. But he always wanted to be a director long term as well. So so you do what you can in front of the camera, learn all the tricks of the trade and everything involved, and then I want to be the one directing at 40. And whether it is through stunts, because with stunts it's a great path, man. So you've got your SAP. So what I am now, it's basically like you're a stunt man on Ps, on your Ps, and you've got to do 50 days on set, and then you've got to upgrade your skills that you got to become a SAP, to become a stunt actor. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the top level. And then from there, it's 8 years to be a stunt coordinator. And then I think from there, you can go on to be like second unit director or action director and things like that. And then, work your way up that way. So there's kind of like a path.
Do you think that there would be, being something that's so specialised and so fraught with fucking danger?
There's only like 30 people in Victoria.
Is that right? Yeah,
30,
okay.
Maybe 50. There's probably some people, like Stunt Book Australia is where most of people were signed up on. But yeah, there's probably only 50 stunt performers in Victoria. So that automatically, compared to actors, what is it, 20,000 actors in Victoria.
Is there really? Is the highest population here? Must be.
I'm just going off back when I was on Star Now, man. I've been off Star Now since 2018.
Right.
So I think that's obviously all the wannabes and all that. So anyone who just signs up and then probably never uses their account.
Yeah. There's a lot. You can
yeah.
sift through that. I actually got a gig off Star Now this week, which was so bizarre. It was a guy. I don't know that he is specifically in the film business, but he won a grant. Got not won. What's the word? Was given a grant as part of that Smarty Pants Melbourne City Council grant that I spoke to you about. The first grant I applied for a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
and
nice.
he's
so
doing
is that just entertainment overall, is it? It doesn't have to be
arts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he's doing an animation about isolation, COVID isolation, and he needed to. Yeah.
You had to do it from home, weren't you, with all these mics?
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it was interesting. So I did it this morning. It was only 30 minutes because he's got grant money. It was probably one of the most lucrative 30 minutes I've ever had.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and it was just a phone conversation that was lightly scripted, and we got to improv the rest for 30 minutes, and then we'll do some pickups next week. But that was Star Now. I got my first lead role in a film through Star Now, so it has its moments. Certainly, you have to sift through the shit.
Well, I think that's where I got burned out, man. Like,
it's a slog. It's a slog. Yeah, and then you get a couple of hits, like good stuff, and then you start getting hit up by terrible
add on
scripts.
Facebook. Like I got added on Facebook heaps as well.
Right.
And I was like, oh, geez, just stalked me down just to ask me a question.
Well, I do. I must confess, I do that in the reverse, right? So if someone is talking to me about a project or whatever, I'll stalk them on Facebook just to see what they're posting, what kind of.
It's just like a job interview to a degree, isn't it? Like
100%. There's one chick, I can't tell you her name off the top of my head, but she is constantly posting projects, and I think she's nuts. Actually, I think she's a little bit nuts, and she hasn't got projects, just ideas, and she's constantly changing her Star Now profile so you can't link the two, and they're like, oh, I'm casting now for a project in like a year, and it's paid, and you get onto a Facebook profile, and when the bells start going off, you're like, God, it sounds good, it sounds paid, it's action. I just don't believe you. You're crazy. And then it comes up again, and then I've been done by it twice. And what, you're casting now for something that's in 18 months, and you don't have a script, and where's some? Come on, man. And then, or you'll see a script come through that's been written in like Word. In like...
I can't stand that personally.
no formatting, no nothing. I know that sounds really shit, but when you get past that sort of, you've done a few years and you've done a little bit of time, you've got a few creds, you've been paid, you're official, you know what I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Professional. I feel like an imposter. Like I don't still call myself an actor or anything, but I call myself a professional. Like I don't take anything that's subpar. Like that's why I got off Star Now as well. Like that's probably a bit egotistical and a bit of a wanker thing to say, but I've got two kids that I don't want to leave them unless it's really either financially good or it's a freaking fun day out. Like that's how I see it personally.
Can I throw an analysis at you there? Because you said that to me in a text message today, and it's something that Dax Shepard talks about, and a lot of A-listers, the imposter syndrome type thing. And I get it, but I think that what you've just said is a bit of an oxymoron in that you're a professional, but you still feel like an imposter.
Yeah.
I don't think you are an imposter, and I don't think you should feel like one. And I hope that it's just something that I used to do to offset maybe a self-awareness of arrogance, right? So when I first became a photographer, I wouldn't tell anyone that I was a photographer as my lead profession. I told everyone, I work in the Merchant Navy. I'm a seafarer. I also do photography.
Yeah, I've heard you say that story.
Yeah, and my mate would just say, bro, no. And now there is no inkling of this imposter thing because I work my fucking ass off for this, and if I get it, you're damn right I deserve it, as do you. So you can knock that shit on the head. You're fucking, like you said, if you can't say, I'm kind of giving you a slam here, but that's because you're a good dude. You can't say I'm full throttle, professional, and do all the shit that you're doing and be an imposter. I think it's crazy. We need to change our internal dialogue.
It's day to day, isn't it? Like you might book a job and you're like, fuck yeah, I'm an actor. And that's probably right, because I haven't booked anything for a while. And that could be a reason why. Like once you start booking
Yeah, it
things and
starts to fucking creep up the
Yeah.
back and go, well, you're not really that
Yeah.
good, dude.
Like
I
I've-
get that.
yeah,
I do get that. And every now and then I get this, I do this circle, right? And it happens within a minute. But I will like, no, I don't ever really do it when I miss out on something because I don't ever have the expectation that I'm going to get it. And not in a bad way. I really was very lucky early on to watch a conversation with George Clooney, not the Bryan Cranston one. George Clooney, in my knowledge, said it first. It's a gift, right? If I'm going in there, I'm going in there to get a chance to just show them what I've got.
yeah. Well, you're supposed to love it, aren't you?
Supposed to love it, and it's just, oh, this is what I do, man. I don't a zero expectation, and not in the negative way. And I took that on board really, really fiercely. But every now and then, you know, when it's generally like sleep deprivation, or I haven't exercised for 4 days, or maybe the weekend I had too many beers and it's like Tuesday and it's starting to hit me. Do you know what I mean? And I'll go, oh, I fucking suck at this thing. Or excuse me, like recently, and I've talked about it on the podcast, I've got another one coming, beer, is you'll get slammed in an acting class, you know, or you just fucking...
That's probably why I don't do acting classes.
I fucking hate them, but I do them predominantly as a networking thing if I'm going to do it. But you know, you'll get pumped when you really pour your heart out, or you think that you are, and they go, I don't know what that was about, dude. You know, like, and so that'll hit me. And I'll do this loop where I think, oh, maybe I should fucking pull out. I'm not that good, and you know, I've got this photography thing, so that'll be fine. And you know, I could go back to sea and make 140 grand a year and provide for my family, and then I come back full circle and I go, can you fucking imagine not doing this? No fucking way. I can't even compute not wanting this so fucking bad that, and then I go, oh, I'm good. Yeah, and come out the other side of it and go, well, let's go and learn something, or let's book a session. I'm so stoked that you're doing Miles's class, by the way. I fucking talk about Miles till I'm blue in the face because he kind of changed my life, but he is the fucking best, hands down, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think the first session I did with him as well, I think he said to me, he's like, I've done all the training in the world, and he's like, you don't need it. And I think that was one thing that really made me go, okay, well, maybe I don't.
He's overtrained.
Yeah, and he said that as well. So, but no, he's great. Just it's so simple. But like you said, it's just he'll just say, oh, he'll think about it differently, or explain the scene to you a bit differently.
He's got a really great mind for scene analysis and objectives and what have you. But he'll go, less. You don't need it. You don't need it. Less. Just fucking. I'm not here to vindicate you or pump you up. Just fucking say it, Josh. You know what I mean? Or say it, Jye. Just. But it's interesting, and I would say this to his face. And I know his sister who used to run his books and what have you, and we saw him in a film once. We went and watched him in a film, Looking for Grace, together. He is a better teacher than he is an actor, and she's like, I tell him that all the time, and he loves acting really hard. But you know, like the McLeod's daughter stuff and the early stuff, there's this sort of soap opera acting, but then when you know him, it's the complete reverse. It's the total opposite. And recently in his parts, you can see, oh, this sounds terrible, Miles, I hope you appreciate what I'm saying here, but I feel that he's really, really, really found his naturalism. The thing that he preaches is now coming onto the screen. Because when you know him, like the real guy that he is, like when I first did the course with him, I said to him, hey man, I really like to take your photo. Like I was really ramping up the photography at that point, just sort of dabbling on the acting side of things. And being the legend that he is, yeah man, cool, yeah. How much do you charge? I'm like, you're doing me a favor, you know? And then I came back to him the next day and I said, look, I'd actually like to do a full-on editorial with you and put my styling team behind this, because I'm working with you now and I'm listening to the way you talk, especially in between class when, you know, because I'm like 15 years older than anyone else in the class. So it's a different conversation. And I'm looking at all the stuff you have online and the work that you've done and the stuff that people know you for. And it's very, like, there's no real fucking grit to it. You're like 42 at the moment. You're 6'4". You're a big cunt. And you're really like, at that, it had this real Robert Redford thing going on, and I was like, I haven't seen that. So let's make that happen. Let's make an editorial as you as a leading man, and we'll make it like military, and we'll make it like. And we went out to my childhood farm where there was like a legitimate bomb shelter from the Navy and the Air Force, and we did this whole fucking thing. And it was funny because he hadn't quite clocked that yet, but I think that he sort of had. He said, I'm in this funny transition where I'm not the sort of McLeod's daughter's golden locks guy anymore because I'm too old, but I haven't become that rugged older guy yet, you know. And I was like, okay, cool, then that's exactly what we have to do. I get like halfway through the shoot, and we started at like 6 a.m, and it's like lunchtime, and I finally show him some snaps that I've got so far, bring him up on the computer, and he goes, oh, fuck, okay, now I get it. Because to be honest with you, man, I wasn't getting it. You know, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We're fucking 5 hours into this. He's like, yeah, man, I just, I don't know, you know, all these fancy bags and fucking flash clothes, and I had this great stylist at the time. She had like $40,000 watches. Jeez. And like just went to town. The big team. It was really, really great. And then after that, we went back. I have to show you the photo afterwards. You can, next when you talk to Miles, he'll remember this photo. We took, still for me, is probably the best photo I've ever taken. And it was like he really locked in. And then when the shoot finished and days later when I showed him the final shot, he was like, and this is a proud moment for me, he was like, that's the best photo that's ever been taken of me. And he had no idea of where I was headed, and then got it and then smashed it. And it was that and ever since then, I'm certainly not going to attribute that to his turning point, but it was great. It was really, really great.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on with him as well. That might have been like I said, turning point just for him mentally as well. To go, shit, maybe I can. Because that's what I was going to say. Like, could it be opportunity that's not presented? Like, because he's producing his own things now, isn't he? He did one with Worthington.
Out of necessity, you know. He's like, I hope I'm not saying too much about Miles, but, you know, like back in the day, he was auditioned for, you know, got right on the line for Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. Like, he gets in the room to major shit. And I really feel like he's about to crack it, like with Danger Close, and he's got lots of things bubbling, and they're all much harder and grittier. And yeah, I think the world of Miles, and I can't wait for him to just bust it open.
Just have that like Ben Mendelsohn just roll the 100%. Okay.
100%. Yeah. And so yeah, I'm really glad that you're doing that. When does that start?
I've had one private with him or two privates with him, but the 10-week course starts next week.
How's that work?
So it's grouse. It's all through Zoom because he's obviously... yeah, Zoom's weird. Like Skype's... I personally prefer Skype. Zoom, it's a little bit glitchy. Like when we're reading scenes, it might get a bit choppy. But still, you're still getting the quality there. You're getting his wisdom and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure how the 10-week course is going to go. I think it's part 1 of 3 or whatnot. So,
okay.
So it's good. Like, one, I want to work with him, and I think and I really just clicked with him. He's just like talks like I talk, like you and I are very similar. Like, do this and just So he talks my language, and I see a lot of
disarming.
So I see a lot of myself in him as well. But yeah, so I don't know how the 10-week course is going to go, and also for my resume as well. I've never really done any acting training, so I think a 10-week course will be great for my resume. Because I've only done sort of privates here and there and some Greg Apps online courses, and because I'm so bloody far away from the city, I can't afford to drive an hour and a half up to a course for 2 hours or 3 hours and drive an hour and a half back. And
too consuming.
It'd be bloody way too hard, way too expensive as well, because I usually work at night, so yeah, it's bloody hard. And then all the full-time courses I couldn't book in for 40-hour weeks with 2 kids and everything. So
2 kids, right?
Yeah. Crazy. But yeah, so it's I'm just enjoying the journey, man. Like
No, I'm really interested to see, because when back in the day, I trained with him. So Miles was the first acting teacher that I ever had. I saw someone before him, but I wouldn't call them a teacher. It was a shit class, and I got it for free because I did a bunch of headshots for her. But good girl. Like, anyways, I've talked about her before, giving her a bit of a spray. But like, I remember showing Miles the byproduct of that course that I did beforehand, and he was like, I don't know what that was about. There was no objective. There was no intention. This is fucking rubbish. But that was 2014 that I did his. Back then, he had 2 courses. It was just like an intro and then his masterclass, and it was 2 weekends on each. And he asked us, I remember at the end of the last class I did with him, he's like, what do you think you would like to see me do next in terms of... And I said, I would like to see you stagger out a progression that could take you all the way from beginner to, really flying. I think it's taken him a long time to sort of... But I'm very disconnected from his classes these days. So that sounds like the next step from where he used to be.
I think he's just turned his day workshop or weekend workshop into a 10-week course from what I've read. So that might be the part 1 that you've done that I'm about to do, and then part 2. Okay. And then the part 3 might be...
A lot of Meisner. He's a big fan of Meisner. Yeah, a lot of... repetition and reaction and focus.
What did we do the other day? The paraphrasing. That just changed my whole outlook. I was like, I've never.
Now you understand the scene, because if you can't paraphrase it, you don't fucking understand it.
Yeah, especially when you need to be word perfect as well. Because I've done like the Greg App stuff where I just all of my acting before this basically was one word at the top, and then that's all I think about, just deliver the lines.
Right.
And I think I could fake it enough to be okay. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm good or anything. But because I've read books, like I've read The Chubbuck Technique and Larry Moss. I've read like all
The Intent to Live
Howard
is
Fine
such a great book.
Yeah, I've read all of them, man, and I'll do a scene after I've read them, whether it's a self-tape or whatnot, and I'll write pages and pages of backstory and all the lists.
You can't play backstory though, can you?
Nah, exactly, and that's what I did. I'm like, fuck, I'm spending hours and
It's
hours.
a waste of energy, I reckon.
And that's why I love the Greg Apps, is like just write the noun or adjective, whatever it is, at the top of the page. It's mostly for self-tapes, because he's like, all you want to do is get recognised. He said it doesn't matter if you don't want to get that role. You want them to go, geez, he's actually pretty cool. We'll get him in for this other role that we've got going or whatnot. Yeah. That's his whole outlook, or that's how I took it. That's
his brand. That's his colour.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people disagree with it as well. So I get that, but
I think that's bullshit, because... unless it's like, like recently, and I talk about this forever because it's my one big audition, to play Robert Langdon in Langdon, the TV series, which is being produced by Ron Howard.
Yeah. I listened to that episode a couple episodes ago.
It was, 8 pages or something like that. So then you really have to, fortunately it was 3 parts, so you could break it down.
3 scenes?
But it's still, 3, but separate scenes and outfit changes and the whole bit, so you could kind of break it down. But so in that, you're like, I had a week to... Oh, did I have a week? No, actually, I had 3 days.
It's like a weekend, isn't it? Yeah, you get it
a
Thursday or Friday, and you
I got it Friday, and I had to have it by Monday. But and I have said this on the podcast before, and because it ties into what you were just saying, so I won't ramble on about it too much. But I really firmly believe, certainly for me, what works best now in this pocket that we're in, with all the training that we've got, is to find it as quick as you can, however that may be, so that you don't bog down in all. This is for self-tapes, right? This isn't when you get a part. This is for self-tapes or classes and what have you, so that it's purely instinct, right? Like, you know the lines, you know exactly what's happening. Obviously, all of that standard scene analysis that you must have, but don't fucking create all this shit. Just try and, how quickly can I be me in this scene? Because at this level, don't try and be Daniel Day-Lewis. You know what I mean? Just be fucking you.
Because a lot of it is just your essence, isn't it? Like, I really I believe like there's going to be a role that's going to come in, like Robert Downey with Iron Man. I know you're an MCU fan.
Dude, I wanted to be a fucking
Did you see the shirt
Marvel. Yeah, I do. I saw it straight away. I saw it when you were walking through the thing. I mean, I drew comics from when I was like 5 to 20. Yeah,
that's
so I'm
cool.
massive about it. Yeah,
but I think it's just going to come a time where there's just going to be a role, and you're like, this is me. And then hopefully the casting directors and everyone else involved sees that. And it's just, you can do it because you can do all the work you want on all these other ones. Because, this is me. I could play this. And then there's going to be one you're like, no, this is me. This is mine. I get that with commercials sometimes as well. And like, I'll go in, I think that's where I struggle as a performer. Like commercials, I can go in. I don't even need to know anything. I'll just go and say g'day and read the room. I think that's where I'm comfortable because I can bring me out. But as soon as it's audition for a character on like a TV show or a film, I become an actor and I fucking struggle. I just go boring. I go monotone,
Right.
and I really struggle. But it's been a while since I've done a good character audition. So I think I'd change now because it's probably been 12 months since I've been in the room for an actual acting. And it's not going to change with self-tapes coming up. But whereas TV commercials, man, I can just go in, I can just fucking wing it and just be okay. And
Which is what they want.
Yeah, and I think that's why I do get a lot, because you get a lot of people in the waiting room as you leave. I'm like, good luck, dude. Whatever I say, just give a little spiel. And then, they're just so stressed, or they're reading the script, or they're just, whereas I think I'll just go and I'm just super relaxed and I'm fine. But I usually only go and see like Two Divas casting and Chameleon as well. So I'm super comfortable with them. And I booked like 4 each with them. So I'm, my socks. So I'm super comfortable with them to begin with. So they're great.
Yeah, cool. All right, we're rolling. We're back in. We'll pull these as we're chatting. Sorry for the break, but I had to piss.
Is this your naked wines?
This is the naked wines. Yeah.
How much did you say is off?
$100.
$100.
$100 off a whole case.
Wow. Mark and Sharon, my parents-in-law, I'm sure if you're watching, you'll get $100 off.
Well, do you know what I'm going to do? I thought about this today, actually, is I'm going to make my own Big Wonder...
label?
No, that'd be good. Like a card that I can give guests with the link on it.
When you share the link on the social medias, it'll be up there though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but that doesn't get any traction. I mean, not even a single guest.
Well, even my one, man. I shared with Shane last week. That was a great episode, by the way.
Thank you.
But I shared that one, and it had like 6 likes. And you're like, fuck, unless you're constantly like commenting, or if people... Facebook's just shit. Unless you've got a page and you're paying for sponsorship, I think, there's just no traction from my uneducated ass.
Yeah, that's the next move. I've been watching videos on getting a proper sponsored ad, not a booster post, proper sponsored ad, because I've seen a couple of podcast ones come through. I actually respond to a lot of the sponsored ads. Not respond, but I mean like...
Interact.
If it's of anything that's interest, I do follow the link and check it out. And I recently... I don't know that I've ever actually purchased anything from a sponsored link, but there's lots of great coffee ones coming through at the moment because I recently got
they last for days anyway, don't they? If you click on a link, like an Amazon link, I think it goes into your program for a couple of days. So like even if you do I don't know if that's America only, but if it's a purchase in the days coming, it'll still be under that same code for the person.
Right.
I could be completely wrong there, but that's what I've read. It could be America only, like Amazon America.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
Do you know what it is about this guy's wine? This is the second bottle. It's okay. Sorry, buddy.
Edit that one out.
But it's not great. I don't know. Man, he's just trying to be... I shouldn't go down a path of wine critiquing,
That could
but...
be a full episode.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. It's not my usual taste. I think he's... Anyways.
Same as me. Red wine tastes the same to me most of the time, unless it's like next to each other. Like this is just red wine.
Okay,
I don't really drink it too much.
This was a special thing that they were really promoting this wine grower. Anyways, so we sort of finished off talking about working with Miles and what have you. So I'm really excited about that. And we're talking about getting your self-taping technique down. So where to from here? Like you're freelance now, right?
No, I've got another agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Karen Anglis Management and Associated Models. So she's technically 2. So I think with the acting stuff, I go through her name. And then for the commercials and all that stuff, it's through the model agency.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and then I've also got a stunt agent, Lou Brown. So I've got 3 different avenues at the moment, which is pretty cool. But I've only been with Karen since February, like the end of February. I think 26 or so. So that was just as all this shit was happening. So I couldn't even know, well, I wouldn't even know how to judge at this stage.
No, it's almost impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have had only commercials come in. So the last 3 weeks, I think I've had 4 or 5 self-tapes just for commercials. So
be grateful, bro. I've had one.
No, I'm very lucky, man. Like one of them I think I've got a good shot at. I was on hold for 2, which I didn't get. And then, one, it's basically like a forward driving outdoorsy kind of Aussie bloke thing. So I should have a good look in that, but who knows? You never know with these things. And then today was just an online, like a financial institution sort of thing. I don't know the name of it, but Yeah, I won't get that one because you have to be fancy. So yeah, like I'll have to slick my hair back and all that. So yeah, I won't get that one.
You got to.
I'll send the tape in, but I won't.
Embrace the different archetypes.
That's always yeah. Who knows?
Because one day it's going to come along, and they need to know that what you would look like at that point. Because unfortunately, that's the state of affairs at the moment, is they don't want to have to do much thinking for you. So you've got to create all these different looks for them before you get to the party.
Like the consumer's lazy, but then the people, I shouldn't say lazy, that's a pretty bad word, but like 8 second or 6 second attention span. Yeah. So yeah.
But at the same time, for the right proactive creative or actor, it forces you to start getting experimental, and like going out the back and like shooting something or trying on, you know what I mean? Like playing dress up basically at your home and trying
you're
out.
A kid. That's I think the only I'll just pretend I'm in a sandbox. That's how, I know a lot of people say that, but that's how I think about it. I'm just a kid and I'm playing, and that's my take. Like it's just and once again, it's essence. If you're going to get it, it's your fucking essence anyway, from what I think. But yeah.
I think that's the general gist of it. I don't think there's too many casting directors out there now and I feel like sometimes they try and create neutral ground a little bit to not throw people off who are really talented, but there are lots of talented people out there losing out to the look.
Well, you think about like Chris Hemsworth with Thor, man. Like, have you seen the 8 guys who were up for that one?
Other than his brother, no.
There was
if it wasn't for his brother, he never
Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh, really?
Who played Tarzan. Like, he could have been him. Your favourite actor, Charlie Hunnam. He was up for it. He's one of my favourite actors, man. So
what do you like about him? This is a good conversation.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this quite a bit, haven't we? Sticking up for my man, Charlie. He said
you like him because of the fucking show.
Sorry?
Right, because you have an affinity to Sons.
No, man. I saw him at Docklands, and he was really nice to me. So I was like, I love you.
Okay.
Nah, that was well after I liked him. No, I think, I don't know, man. I think because I look, not that I look a bit like him, but I think just the blonde hair and just things like that. Like I think I gravitate towards the guys who I tend to look like. I'm like, oh, well, he hasn't had a lot of training. He kind of worked his checkmate.
He doesn't even know what his accent is.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Have you seen the
I have seen the gentleman. I thought that he did a good job.
Yeah.
I think he might have turned a corner because I thought he was actually very good in the True History of the Kelly Gang.
Watch Papillion. That'll change your mind.
Papillon?
Papillon, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's my uneducated ass.
No, go and watch the original.
Yeah, I think that's on Foxtel. I do want to watch that.
Bro.
But have you seen the new one?
Yeah.
With Rami Malek?
And he was good.
Yeah.
He was good. I still felt that he was playing the stereotype. Rami
It's so hard, though, man.
acted circles around him.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you watch Steve McQueen, but when you watch Steve McQueen in Papillon, you're like, fuck.
Papillon, geez, I'm a rookie.
Yeah, and him with Dustin Hoffman, it's like something else, But what I will say this, I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't know the man. I'm sure he's very nice. And I feel like he's getting better. But I feel like there's a lot of roles that he's got because of popularity over talent.
But that also happened to him at the start as well. Like he lost out on a lot of roles to Justin Timberlake as well. So there's a lot of roles that
Justin Timberlake's a better actor. Bro.
Yeah.
Bro,
I love musicians, man. Like musicians who get into acting. I was thinking about that on the drive up. I was like, that some of them just like Gaga and just, I think
she's incredible.
Yeah, I just think they've got that artsy ability and they can just do whatever they want.
She was an actress before she was a singer.
Yeah, and they said, you're not going to make her as an actress, so she became a singer and it's phenomenal.
She was just destined to crush it.
But I think I don't judge people as an actor because I don't rate myself. So I think I feel negative talking bad about someone else who is doing better than me or whatnot. But I think I'm not confident as a performer, so I don't feel the need to bash other people. That's just how I personally take it. So it's rare that I'll watch a movie and go, oh, that was fucked, that sucked, or he was just shit house, or she was shit house. I was like, oh, it was pretty cool. Like it just, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I hope that doesn't come across like I have this agenda to fucking bash out Hunman, because actually, like, I really liked him in Deadfall. I thought Deadfall.
I still haven't seen that. Banner.
Right, so that's my favourite film of his.
Oh, cool.
I thought and he
supporting, wasn't he? Was it Olivia Wilde the lead?
More of an ensemble.
Yeah,
because it's like Cece Spacek and Chris Christopherson.
They're the ones I'd freaking love to be on, man. So you can just be learning from everyone. I think that'd be the dream.
And he was really, really good in it. And anyone who's up there giving it a crack, even if it's like horrendous pop music that I can't fucking cop, that's auto-tuned to buggery. My hat still goes off to you for fucking getting up there and having a go. Always has. It's not about judging people for bad performances, because, you listen to someone like Michael Caine talk, and he's like, you might get like 2 out of 15. That, be happy with those odds.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Even Paul Newman, he's done a ton of shit films, and he's one of the all-time greats. And he's like, man, sometimes I just realize I haven't worked for 18 months, and I literally take the first script that's on my desk and I go and do it just to go and work.
That's cool to hear.
Yeah. And he actually, I listened to this interview. You must be a big fan of Inside the Actors Studio.
Yeah, I've got them all, the videos.
Do you? With Steve Lipton?
I think I got them off Reddit. I think I went on Reddit and searched, and there was like a big 20 gig.
Bro, we have to have a marathon one day. But because
Tom Cruise one's freaking awesome. Have you watched that one?
I watched it a couple of times.
That's how I pretty much learned to act, man. Like, I'll listen to podcasts and all that stuff, but yeah, carry on.
100%. I've got so many great tips of that. And one thing, I'll do a full circle and come back, but just because you said Tom Cruise, the one thing that he said in that I love the most, and I feel, because I know that he's an incredibly generous actor on set and what have you, but you don't see it a lot. He doesn't do a lot of those acting chats, and I was so glad that he did it, because the one thing that he said closer to the end, actually I think it was in the Q&A, he was talking about, if you've got an emotional scene coming up, if you've done your homework, if you've done all the work and you're ready and those tears don't come, it doesn't matter, because it's whatever comes is supposed to come. And I thought, fuck, that's so empowering to me, because I like to be able to do, in my limited experience, everything that I've had that's of significance. I've had months and months and months, if not a year, to work on before we got there. So I really like that slow cook. And so that really resonated with me. But I just caught for the second time the Paul Newman one. And he was talking about, being at Yale, I think, or Harvard or something like that, doing like an economics major or something like that before he went into acting. And so he's very analytical and calculating. And when he came to it, he said, I was very jealous of the Marlins, who was at the studio at the same time, who just had that natural instinct of a scene and was just, really raw and original. I was very, I want to say, I hope I'm quoting him right, cerebral, which is him being analytical. And it was, if I have one attribute, it's tenacity. And that I just ground till I worked out the bones of acting, and then eventually was able to leave that and become what they were right out of the gate. And that's how I hope my trajectory goes, because I don't feel like I have this fucking insane, fucking universal plug into acting. Like, I really have to fucking grind to understand it. And I thought that I would. How arrogant is that? I thought that I was going to step into it. And
I think everyone does. Like,
I was
to
born
a degree.
To do
a
this,
degree,
man,
yeah.
And I sucked.
Yeah.
Just sucked. And I really thought that I would be much better at playing guitar than I am too, but I'm fucking not. So that was really empowering to hear, actually, that he had that perspective, and it was really, really by the numbers for him for a long time. Because
I think Anthony Hopkins is similar. Like, he'll write what is it, dash dash dash. What's that? I can't even fucking talk. Like 4, and then you cross it over and you count like that.
Oh,
Sound
right.
like a dumbass at the moment. But he'll do that, learning his lines and everything. So he's just, he'll do it. He'll read his script 100 times before he.
Yes, I've heard that thing. He reads it I think he says it's 250 times.
Yeah,
some bullshit.
something crazy.
I think that's insane, though, isn't it?
Yeah, depends.
But because for him, acting is purely physiological.
Just letting go, just letting the words take you and just doing whatever you want.
Yeah, but look, I'm talking about someone I don't know, but what I've heard him say and other people say is he doesn't have to be, he is not in character. Like, he doesn't get bogged down in this understanding of...
Well, he said that to Hemsworth on Thor, didn't he? He was like, there's no acting here when they're all dressed up. He was just like, all we need to do is step up and drop the lines.
He said that for years.
Yeah.
He said that for years. So I listened to a great interview with him. I think it was with Charlie Rose, talking about one of his big breakout films called, I want to say it's called The Lion, but I think it's more than that. It's got Lion in there. It's with like Katharine Hepburn and Peter O'Toole.
And that's a hard thing, man, isn't it? Like all these guys that we absolutely fucking love, they've just been working with the best. And but like Cruz said that, he's like, work with good directors. He's worked with fucking everyone, but he's in that stage where they can like just work with everyone, can't they? As well. Sorry to cut you off.
No. Yes, totally. But so he was the stage actor up until that point, really. And somehow I forget the 6 degrees of separation, but got that part. But so I'm linking it to what you were saying is he said there was no, I knew my lines and I knew the given circumstances, but I was walking out in a fucking castle and everyone was dressed up and my reactions to my world were real, and that makes it very, very easy. But there's all this great footage of him as Hannibal Lecter and he is not dark and dreary after cut's called.
Yeah.
He's like, fucking whatever. And then
apparently Leo DiCaprio's like that as well.
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
That was cool.
And I think I really like that. That's certainly the aside from the training I've had with Miles, probably the most impactful training that I've had is with Pem. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Did you say you'd been doing online recently?
No.
It was a workshop that you did? Because I know they've started doing online stuff.
Yes, they have. Yeah. Sarah, Victoria, I think is her last name, but Sarah runs that. I did a 2-month weekend class, and it is purely it's all about the physiology. So yeah, just what does my body do when it feels this and when it feels this and when it feels that. You are completely disconnected, and so it gives you there's longevity in tears and there's longevity in screaming and yelling because it's all primal bodily movements and chemical, like you're basically talking to your pineal gland actually and telling it to produce this chemical, and then you have a snap out technique.
Yeah, was that similar to like how you put your face in a certain way, you cry?
Yes. Yeah. Cool. They call it masks.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So like if it's exaggerated, so this is going to look retarded, but if it's anger, it's like nostrils flared,
eyebrows and everything, yeah.
Eyebrows down and teeth out like this, shoulders up and arms out like this. It's exaggerated.
Kind of like the animal. What's the animal exercise? Or that's a certain technique, isn't it? Like that'd be.
That's a similar technique. I think that's a movement technique.
Yeah.
Like Hugh Jackman has that funny story about walking around set on X-Men 1 as a wolf, and Bryan Singer coming up to him going, "What are you doing, dude?" "Oh, just my animal technique. I'm just embodying a wolf." And he's like, "Well, for starters, a wolverine is a badger." Shit.
Yeah.
I've just got to read the comic books.
Yeah. Not on my set, mate.
Just relax. It's a different animal. Moves differently. But Pam, I highly recommend too. But you're doing the thing with Miles, and it's great. And Miles has got like he said, he's got a huge spectrum of training.
Yeah, I definitely think I'll do the 10, and then I'll do another 10, and then probably the third 10, I think, because that'll be good, maybe 18 months by the time I get it all done. And then I'll work with him one-on-one between, I reckon. I
might look at his third bracket. He's coming.
I could be talking out my ass. He might not even have a third, but I'm pretty sure it was part 1 of 3.
Look at, like I've always said, if I booked a big role or I had more cash, I would do 10 weeks of solos with him, or I would have him on set as my acting coach. Like, I mean, that's like the fantasy, you know what I mean? To get that part where you can have a coach with you.
Yeah, that's real Netflix money, isn't it?
Yeah. Because even if I had to sacrifice pay, I fucking totally would. Because if
you're still making fucking shitloads of money anyway. Like if you book I was up for one later in the year. I don't think I told you before we were on an air, but it was a $10,000 a week American, and you're like, fuck, imagine that. That was in Japan though. Like you'd have to live in Japan for 2 months or 3 months.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, I'd struggle, man. Like I'd miss my kids too much. I'd probably take them with me, not with this COVID stuff, but anything in the next couple of years, I'd probably try and take everyone on the road.
Yeah, man, keep them with you. I think. Like there was a thing recently where psychologist was talking about back when the London bombing in World War II, the kids that were whisked away, so that they weren't in the city, but while their parents had to stay and bunker down or whatever, in the long run, obviously the ones who lived, psychologically were far worse off than the kids that stayed with their parents. This whole thing where, kids need interaction with other kids and everything is true, but up until like 15, 16, 17, they need you more than they need anyone else. Take them with you.
Yeah.
And we've all proven that we can homeschool now.
Yeah.
Well,
that we were flirting with the idea of homeschooling before this, because even I'd hate the idea of putting my kids in a school and having to move for this and moving to another school. And imagine how much you'd fuck your kids up being at like 10 different schools or
it's
whatever.
It's not great. I did it. It's not ideal. If I was to try and say one thing that I regret in my life, and I don't regret it because I am the sum of all my experiences.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have the family you've got now.
I wouldn't be the man that I am today, and I am the result of. But luckily, someone taught me how to be very introspective and actually make that acknowledgement. But is changing the last school that I changed, because it's a funny thing we're talking about doing a circle in my brain. Sometimes I think, oh, geez, I really, because I came to acting late, right? So 32, 33, but I was acting when I was 12. 13, and that's what I was going to do.
My argument is you're acting every day as well. Like,
sure,
you talk to me, you're acting different to how before I got here.
No one's paying me to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But you think about how many different people you talk to each day as well. You're putting on a performance to a degree.
Yeah, totally. And I get that. Marlon Brando used to preach that pretty hard, but.
Oh, is that where I got it from? I didn't know that.
Maybe, but I think that was just a way of him pretending to be humble, to be honest. Because
he's a natural, yeah.
Well, he was a natural and he was a diva, and that's a nice thing to say. I don't believe it entirely, but what the fuck do I know? But I changed high schools at 13 to 14, and it was a bad move. It was like I was at a real good, solid foothold on people respected me because I was the art kid. And they kind of liked that, and I was okay at sports, and I did all right with the girls, And then I went to this other school, which was a state school, and I was beat up for the next 3 years. And so, and it was my choice to go. My dad planted the seed, but so if I was ever going to regret something, I would regret that. I should have stayed at that school or said, Dad, this new school fucking sucks. Send me back to the other one. I can keep doing plays. But then I think, well, fuck. If I had done that, and I had sort of stayed, at a higher tier in high school for 4 years, I could be a total asshole. Maybe that actually set me up for, I think, being a pretty, grounded, not up myself cat. Because when I came out of that and I did like sales for 4 years and you're all like pumped up and all that, I turned into a total prick. Like I bumped into people years later after I left sales and went and worked in mines and at sea and what have you. And
I've got a good scene for you, dude. I read a scene the other day that I'll send it to you because that'll be perfect for you with that history. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Remind me.
And they're like, man, you were so fucking up yourself when you used to have that like high flying sales job. And what the fuck happened? And I was like, I went to Canada for a year and worked on a pipeline and dug holes and fucking.
That's humbling.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing now.
Minus 40 degrees fucking winter of Canada, yeah, and just chilled, had no money and had to fucking save.
Find yourself though.
Grind, yeah. And so I got to snowboard every day and just be out in the mountains, yeah. And I reconnected with photography actually in Canada when I was there. That was the best thing that came out of being in Canada was because I had studied photography at art college, and I kind of let it go for a little bit, and then I was working on the pipeline with a friend of a friend who got me the job, and he was right into landscape photography. He had a fuel card and a kick-ass truck and all the gear, and we would just drive through the prairies every afternoon. And that's where he actually taught me a lot. Thanks, Dwayne. We'll be meaning to catch up again, but taught me a lot, and that's what sort of reignited the whole trajectory back into professional, like to be becoming a professional artist.
Can you ever see yourself being behind the camera, like from a directing standpoint, or a DOP or anything? I know you love acting, but I'm just thinking from a film like a storytelling standpoint, like you could be the director and
I don't know
the shot in your head.
I don't know.
Because you can see things differently. I was walking on the beach today with my wife, and she had a camera and she's playing around, and then all of a sudden she's up in the bloody bushes, and then getting my son to run at her, and she's just got these sensational photos. I'm like, geez, I never would have thought about that. Like, that's just not my eye. Mm-hmm. Whereas she's got that. I'm guessing you've got that as well from a photography standpoint.
Definitely in like whenever I've had the pre-production meeting or we're almost going to cast you in this type thing meeting, I always sort of say to them, especially when it's low tier and I have a bit more grounds to say stuff, I say to them like, look, I think about everything in compositions. I don't think about it in dialogue. I think about it in a shot. So I'm going to talk to you about the shot because that's how I will know the scene, And sometimes that's a bit hard for the guys or whatever because they're like, this is our fucking shot. But it's like I'm not being disrespectful, but this is, if you want the best out of me, I got to be able to see it as it is going to be made, So to answer your question, yes, I think about it that way, and this is me being really, really honest. I'm probably too keen on being in front of the camera to like not be. Does that make sense? Like, I fucking really love being on the other side of it.
Well, you probably love what it brings out and what you explore.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think because I was so shy as a kid and to then come out the other side and... Because there's a great line in 40-year-old version. You've seen it, right? And he says, oh, how do you... you've got all this. And he's like, oh, what, you think this was an accident? Premeditated, partner. You know what I mean? Like this, not saying that, whatever, you understand what I'm saying. This is premeditated. Like I was saying to my wife the other day, she bought me this great pair of Ray-Bans for my birthday. I was like, it's really funny. When I was in my mid-20s, couldn't wear cool sunglasses. I couldn't fucking pull it off. You know what I mean? Or anything like that. So to come out the other side and have actually premeditatedly tried to create who I kind of wanted to be or who I idolized. Because when I was 61 kilos. I'm 83 now. I'm 6 foot. It's this tiny, scrawny little fucking dude who, like I've been at like dance parties where, I've gone, oh, I'm going to be free and take my top off. And people have told me to put my fucking shirt back on. Do you know what I mean? You're so skinny, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That uploads to the brain as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that, like, because underlying that, I've always wanted to be an actor. I'm looking at these like leading men going, fuck, I want to be able to do that. You know what I mean? That's what compelled me to start exercising for the first time at 22 and keep that up.
And it looks so easy as well. Like when you watch a film, you're like, geez, I could do that. But it's like, and it's just so effortless what they talk about.
It's tough. I can't remember why. Oh, you're asking me about directing and whatever. So now that I'm finally doing it, unless it was like, it'd have to be way down the line where I had this, great backlog of stuff.
Yeah,
and I was
that's why I said to myself, like 10 to 15 years. Like at least get an understand, like your 10,000 hours on set. Like you can have 10,000 hours reading scripts and doing self-tapes, but on set's just a whole different game.
It's a whole different game. And the whole 10,000 hours has kind of been debunked by psychologists and what have you in that it doesn't account for just natural aptitude.
That's Tim Ferriss as well, didn't he? You talked about that?
Was it him? Yeah. Natural aptitude is something else like if I bring it home, of all the arts actually that I'm into, the one that came most naturally was drawing. Like no one ever taught me how to draw. I could just draw.
Have you storyboarded the park?
Fuck no, I cannot be bothered. Hell no.
I suppose that's more pre-production.
but it's like I sit down to put a pen to paper and I'm like, why? I've got so but it is the one that was there before anything else that was just there. Everything else, actually photography was, I'm going to say it was a breeze, but was there. But
well, that's something you can just do. Like you can pick it up and you're going straight away, can't you? Like you can be focusing on something. Whereas with acting, you need to read something and then you need to set up your camera. Like there's still
acting
is
so much more layered. Like it really is. And you get those guns who can act, but they don't have camera technique.
Yeah.
So there's so much there.
Well, that's what I say about my man, Tom Cruise. Like, he just finds a camera. Like, he's the only man who could be, like in The Mummy, have you watched the behind the scenes of that one? Like, he's doing the fall down the hill and he's the only one who looks up at the camera. Like, we don't even need a stuntman.
You know, I was listening to a great podcast with Dax and Rob Lowe, and he was talking about when they were all cast in The Outsiders. Did you hear this podcast?
No, it's on my list.
You've seen
that's
The
only
Outsiders?
That's like a month ago. The TV show?
No. Great show, by the way. The Francis Coppola
90s, no.
film in the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, he would have been a kid.
The book, The Outsiders, excuse me. Jesus. It's got, how's this for a cast? It's got Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Patrick Swayze, the kid from Karate Kid, and one other fella, and whatever. It was a massive, massive film. Anyways, Tom Cruise has had like 2 roles before this.
Yeah, he still hasn't had his teeth done either.
Teeth are all fucked up, and he pretty much only got the part because he was the only one who could do a backflip, which finds its way into the film for no reason, right? And they had so many auditions, Rob Lowe was saying, and then they got flown out to New York, and they're staying at whatever the fuck. It was like a fancy hotel for more kind of testing and what have you. And him and Rob Lowe had to share a room. And fucking Tom Cruise jacked up. He's like 17, lost his fucking mind about having to share a room. So you haven't even got the part yet. Like, and he said, there's this part of you that's going, a fucking prick. And then there's the other part that's going, this motherfucker just knows. Like, he's going to be the shit. Like, and he did it, And I've only ever heard him say it once in an interview where he talked about bombing in auditions back in the day when he first came out to LA, and that the big note was that he was too intense. And he just made it his brand. He is intense. He's super intense. I love that. Like, there's so many commercial auditions, not that I'm trying to make parallels here, but where they've said, bro, too intense. You're a dad. You're kind to your kid, way too intense, like, I'm just not that guy. But yeah, I thought that was really, really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, you find your niche, don't you, eventually? Like we were talking about at the start. Like, there'll be that role that you'll need that intensity. It'll be good.
So we're going to close out on this. What's your schedule from here on out? We were talking about, like, where I want to be at 30 and what have you, but what's in the immediate future? I know you've started your own little podcast, which is awesome.
Yeah, that'll be cool just to chat to a lot of creatives. It'll probably mostly based on like stunties and filmmakers.
Which I think is really, really great.
Yeah, it'll be
I
cool.
think it's a nice niche for you.
I'll still chat to a few different people. I'll probably call it Jye's World or something so I don't pigeonhole myself too much, but it's really just conversation. Like, I just want to talk to people, man. Like, I don't really.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more. I'll be picking their brain, and I've caught up with so many people for lunch or for a beer or a coffee, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I recorded. It's like Richard Norton, man. When I caught up with him, I'm like, this would have been one of the best podcasts, and we're just communicating. I'm like, so many people would love just to listen to what we're talking about. I would
love to have him on this. Actually, he seems like a pretty accessible
guy.
Yeah,
very, very grouse. Really nice.
With you, Shane, and Johnny having been on the podcast. Yeah, and I did a day stunt course with him. Yeah, well. I found the photo in my phone yesterday, actually, of him giving me a knee to the head.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man, that's I totally forgot about that photo.
No, I'd give it a crack, man. He's great, very giving. So yeah, I think I just messaged him or called him and through Johnny Ballars. Johnny Ballars put the feelers out for me because I didn't want to just reach out as a nobody.
Hey man, what's up?
Yeah, I just didn't want to reach out as a nobody, and he was like, yeah, mate, like it's cool, we'll catch up for a coffee and. Yeah, caught up like straight away. I was with him for like 3 hours or 4 hours, so it was awesome, man. So
legend.
Giving. Yeah. But from there, I'm working on another short film. I don't know if you saw my action film, basically a big fight, because I'm a big believer. Like, so many people are trying to be Mr. Drama, so I'm going to come and try and do some comedy shit and some action shit. So just try and make a bit of waves on the side, because I'm not going to compete with a lot of people from a drama standpoint.
Yes. Sorry to cut you off there, but you've just made me. Okay, you have to be part of this. Okay, so talking to a friend of mine today, and this is what's happened out of the web series that I just did.
I loved it, dude.
Yeah,
that was filmed here, wasn't it?
Yeah, Blake Remington.
The only reason I knew was because of the window, because you sent me the park photo,
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I was like, I know that window.
Everything is done in that shed, dude. Everything.
That's good. Quiet.
It's so great. I mean, that's where I shoot all my headshots down there.
Yeah.
It's my gym is down there, and that's where I did that photo. But so Anthony Sharp, who's behind Perfect Chaos, and I got to do that web series. But that episode has tracked, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's tracked the best of the episodes. And fortunately, I was able to join the characters in the next episode. So I shot all my mid shots here and then sent them to her, and she cut between them. She's in New York. She's a great actress. Like she was in From Paris with Love with
no.
John Travolta.
Yeah,
and,
nice.
You know, like when you look up that film on IMDb, it's her and John Travolta. She's so lovely and so fucking particular.
And no one
and
will know
methodical.
you're not even in the room, would they? If you sent that to an agent or whatnot, they wouldn't even know.
No idea. And it stitches together really well. But anyway, so it tracked well. I got lots of nice feedback from it. So I said to Anthony, I said, you know, I know that you're busy and you're probably not going to be a part of this, but we need to take that Blake Remington character, whether it's called Blake Remington or not, but that similar vibe that Anthony created. Like I came up with the character and the nuts and bolts of the scene, and he said, I think we should make this almost comedy with then like a comedy action drama type thing.
It wasn't over the top comedy, which is what I liked. Like the gun, like that was just good. Like going back and get the gun every time, like shutting the door. Like that's what I liked about it. Like
right, that's Anthony. That's all
Yeah.
Anthony, and he's like, this is gonna fly. Trust me. And I was like, man, I'm down. It's so good. So, anyways, you should be a part. Like I've got another 3 people interested in making that a spin-off, and what we're trying to do is create. And this is what this podcast is so great for. Is just this little team of people, and my mate Adam Laws, he's got all the gear, right? Like he's doing well in life, and he's gone, I want to be a filmmaker and a director and a writer, and he's writing all the time, but he's got all the shit. He's got the cameras, he's got the green screen, he's got the lights, he's got the fucking booms, the whole bit. And he's like, let's just shoot. And I was like, that is what I have been wanting to do since I moved here fucking 4 years ago, is just get this little crew who don't care about, we all care about money, but for the all intensive purposes, don't care about money. We just want to make stuff. And it's like, we're in it. It's always us. We're in it. All the people have their designated like strengths, you know, and let's make a web series like every two weeks, pump something out. It's 10 minutes. We get together.
It's like an
write it.
acting class, isn't it? That's on camera.
Fucking
That's
oath it is. And it's a filmmaking class, and it's a writing class, and it's a directing class, and there's a little bit of comedy. So I've got my 2 friends, Maddie and Jimmy, who will handle like the comedic element of it. And I've got Adam who will give it structure and shoot it, and you for stunts, and then me for whatever. Like I can write a little bit and add the Blake Remington character. And then I really want to talk to Melissa, who's going to come on the podcast, about her team over there simultaneously shooting a storyline that lines up with ours. And then eventually, if the series ever gets traction, there's like a love thing that happens between them, but they never meet. And then the audience, this is the perfect scenario where there's like 500,000 followers of this web series, and they know that we're shooting in separate cities. And then the 2 characters come together, and the audience doesn't know if actually those 2 actors are in the same city, or we're cheating it still, but we are actually in the same city for this one episode that comes like 3 seasons
big romantic
in.
kiss at the end.
Right, yeah, some bullshit like that, but that's great. And then like, oh fuck, it's a single shot.
Yeah,
and
how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah. Oh, they're at the same
And
city.
even from a marketing standpoint, you've got so many different people who have different followers and different audiences as well. So it's a good marketing campaign.
I just thought about this just then, and we'll close on this. Let's just let people mull this over. If that web series and that meeting tied in with like flight restriction removals, I hate to use the global climate, but you kind of have to. You know what I mean? So if it tied in with the transition of people coming together again, there's these 2 international actors who have been working through necessity on a show together in separate fucking cities, like on the other side of the planet, who at the same time that, you know, we were all rejoicing that it had come to fucking an end. that's kind of symbolic of that.
Yeah, you could even end it as you see the two and then cut to credits before you even kiss or whatnot as well. So
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want. Yeah, that's grouse, man. I'd be keen, man. Set up a chat or whatnot. And
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
easy done.
Well, Jye,
Cool.
thank you, man. I really appreciate all your support, all the shares, and for coming along and
It's all
driving.
good, dude. Easy done.
From way down south.
It's all good.
Cheers, brother.
Empty glass.
You smashed it.
No, thanks for having me, dude. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.